Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our playthrough of Pokemon Yellow to commemorate its 25th anniversary release in the United States. This is unfortunately the last episode of this playthrough, but we still have a lot to do. If you've been keeping up with this series, you know that this is the endgame. We have the Elite Four and our rival ahead of us, and we also have to pay a visit to Mewtwo if we truly want the full dose of nostalgia. Before jumping into all that, it's time to look at our team. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail on how every individual Pokemon looks here, since it would take a lot of time going into stats and movesets, so just know that everyone is at level 55 at this moment, and we have a pretty wide type variety if I do say so myself. I think battling the Elite Four and our rival will go smoothly for the most part. I mean, the majority of the time you see me at this part of the game, all I have is a single non-evolved Pokemon, so having a fully evolved team here is a nice change of pace and should make this much more doable. Which is great because, once again, this is supposed to be a nice, enjoyable playthrough. We are not trying to treat this as a usual challenge. And I'm hoping this is apparent as we start the fight with Lorelei. Dewgong falls into the yellow with one Thunderbolt, and then we get it paralyzed too, so it's a very strong start. It is unable to attack on the next turn, so another Thunderbolt takes it out and we continue on with full health. Cloyster was almost a one-shot with Thunderbolt, but since Lorelei cheats with a retroactive Super Potion, we knock it out easily from there. Slowbro is next, and I decide to give Thunder a go. It does land and does a great job. The Slowbro is still standing with just a little bit of red health left. Another retroactive Super Potion from Lorelei, another Thunderbolt, and another Pokemon from Lorelei's team is down, while we have taken 0 damage. Jynx is next, and I switch 25 out for Char. An Ice move is dangerous here, but so is our Flamethrower for Jynx. Case in point, it is a one-shot, so we are back to having 25 out front and center as Lapras is the last of Lorelei's Pokemon to be sent out. Thunder keeps its streak of not missing, but Lapras took it well enough to still be standing in the yellow. Its Body Slam is low-key terrifying since it easily takes us to half health, but we are not paralyzed, so we can quickly respond with a Thunderbolt to knock Lapras out, giving us a pretty easy Elite Four win. Hopefully it's not the only one. I mean, next is Bruno, and historically, he is not much of a hindrance. One of his Onixes is first, and we move Legend to the leadoff spot of the party for exactly this reason. Razor Leaf makes it an effortless one-shot. Hitmonchan is the first fighting type out, which means we are changing our Pokemon too. Mew Species makes its debut in the Elite Four, and Psychic is the obvious route we want to go here. Another easy one-shot. Hitmonlee follows, being dealt another one-shot with Psychic. This one was a critical hit, but that really doesn't matter much here. And now comes the second Onix, but this time we send out Shades to take care of it. Surf does its job, another critical hit that really wasn't needed, so now we just need to tackle Bruno's Machamp. Mew Species is back for this exchange, and Psychic continues to deal one-shots in this battle, so this was another easy win. Now I'm glad Psychic landed as many one-shots in this Bruno fight, because now we have Agatha, and like I mentioned multiple times previously, her whole team is Poison type, so Mew Species is our secret weapon here for sure. The only problem we have is that move doesn't have a lot of power points, so we need to be wise in how we use it since we never know if we're going to need it for Lance as well. I did make the mistake of forgetting to switch Mew Species to the first position of our party before starting this battle, so we need to switch Legend out for Mew Species. But once we get all that sorted, we take a weak Mega Drain and then one-shot the first Gengar with Psychic. Golbat is next up for Agatha, and like I said, I want to save up on Psychic power points, so I send out 25 since Thunderbolt should do a lot of damage here. And it does, as a critical hit one-shot. Now back to the Ghosts, with Haunter being sent out, so we're back to using Mew Species. Of course, Psychic deals the one-shot, so Agatha moves on by sending out Arbok. And we change gears by sending out Nidoking. Earthquake is the obvious way to go, and it's a critical hit one-shot, so this battle as a whole is going really smoothly. Just one more Gengar to go, and we're once again sending out Mew Species, which means more Psychic usage. I'm surprised this one wasn't a one-shot, but a special drop is really appreciated. I hate having to use up another Psychic here, but I don't want to risk rolling the dice with Metronome hoping it would deal a move strong enough for the knockout.
Also, we did so much switching in that battle. Are we the new Agatha?
Anyway, moving on, healing up, and now we're face to face with Lance. I never got around to teaching a Pokemon in my party an Ice move, so this is not going to be a straightforward, easy strategy battle like the rest of these Elite Four fights have been. But we still have some tricks up our sleeve. Gyarados is first out, and we were smart enough to switch up our party order before starting this battle, so 25 is out to meet him. Thunderbolt is an easy one-shot thanks to Gyarados being 4 times weak to electric moves. A Dragonair is then sent out, and I decided that Mew Species is probably the way to go here. We give Psychic a go. It's not a one-shot, but we handle its slam really well. We have one more Psychic left, so we use the move again to knock Dragonair out. The second Dragonair follows, and we give Mega Punch a try. It does alright damage, taking Dragonair to half health. Bubble Beam is a move I was not expecting to get hit with here, but Mew Species is still in the green after that. We land another Mega Punch, but it doesn't deal enough damage to take Dragonair out.
Lance breaks out a Hyper Potion, which is annoying, but Mega Punch is still landing, and we're just being subjected to Wrap from Dragonair until we get it to red health.
And then it changes its offense by hitting us with Ice Beam. All said and done, we're now in yellow health. We're able to take the second Dragonair out of the battle with a pound, but Mew Species is a little beaten up. Aerodactyl is next anyway, so we decide to give Mew Species a break and we send out 25. The only problem here is I totally forgot what a speed demon Aerodactyl is. It outspeeds 25 and its Swift easily takes 25 to half health. Actually, I have another problem. My faith in Thunder has officially betrayed me. And to make matters worse, our next turn went exactly the same way. 25 survives all this, but just with 7 health, so I decided to switch it out for Shades. Sucks that it got hit by a critical hit Swift, and to make matters worse, Shades' first attack missed due to Aerodactyl using Fly. But we finally got an attack to land thanks to Surf, and it was a one-shot. Thank you. That exchange was a little tense, and it was a good precursor to what lies ahead, Lance's Dragonite, which he just sent out. I have Legend start the exchange, and it successfully does its job by putting Dragonite to sleep with Sleep Powder. Mew Species then gets sent out, and we hit it with the last Psychic we have at our disposal. It doesn't do nearly as much as I'd hope. We waste a turn while Dragonite is asleep by missing a Mega Punch, but we get that move to land on the next turn, just in time for Dragonite to wake up and hit Mew Species with a Hyper Beam. With only 12 health left, I switch it out for Nidoking and immediately regret it since I completely forgot Dragonite needs to recharge. We could have potentially gotten one more attack in with Mew Species before the switch. But anyway, we get Nidoking to use Thrash, and it's doing a good job. Lance annoyingly uses a Hyper Potion, but I still feel like we have a good thing going here. And then Dragonite hits us with a Blizzard. It's not a one-shot, but we do go down to that move on the next turn. At least Nidoking got Dragonite back into yellow before feigning. 25 is in rough shape, but I'm hoping that we can get a Thunder in before it goes down. We are successful, and Dragonite is in red health as expected. It says that our attack is not super effective, but really the damage is neutral since Dragonite is part Flying and Dragon, which cancels each other out when it comes to type advantages.
Anyway, 25 cannot survive a Hyper Beam here, so we send out our should-be Dragon, Char.
I go with Slash, hoping for a critical hit, and there we go. We got one, and down goes Dragonite, and we have officially beaten the Elite Four. So if you're wondering why I was trying to switch out my Pokemon before they fainted, it's because I made a mistake before starting this Elite Four run. I bought some full restores at the mart at the Indigo Plateau, like I always do, but I forgot to buy revives. Look, I usually do solo Pokemon challenges, so if your Pokemon faints, you can't revive it since that's an instant loss. There's no need to have any revives in the majority of my videos. I'm not used to needing them, but here, before the final battle, I do need revives. So I go back to the last save file where we were standing before the entrance to the Elite Four, buy some revives along with our full restores, and battle the Elite Four all over again off camera. Look, we already beat them, we don't need to show all that again. The previous run still counts, but now we can face our rival with a fully healed team. So let's do this. We finally learned our lesson by not giving 25 the lead-off position of our party since our rival starts with Sandslash. So Legend starts the battle out front and center with Razor Leaf. Critical hit one shot, let's go. Alakazam is next, and we're sticking with our tried and true strategy of sending in Mew Species. Again, this works out well since we resist the Psychic moves, and with Alakazam's terrible physical defense, Mega Punch is the way to go. It does survive, and thanks to its Kinesis, our Pound misses on the next turn. Fun fact, I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode, but Kinesis was supposed to be a trademark move for the Abra line, yet in the original Red and Blue games, it was never properly coded into their moveset, so it was basically a forgotten move that could only be seen if you used Metronome, and it just happened to be the move that the system rolled for you. Anyway, we take a weak Psychic and our next Pound lands, so we officially bring down Alakazam. Executor is about to be sent out, so we switch to Char. Flamethrower might be super effective, but Executor is still standing with some health left. Its Stomp isn't that threatening, and our following Flamethrower hits just hard enough for the knockout. So for the record, our rival has lost half his team and we are still holding on to a full team. Cloyster is next and 25 is the obvious choice here. We play it safe with Thunderbolt and it hits hard, but Cloyster is still standing. Its Ice Beam hits more than I was hoping, but we're still able to attack, so another Thunderbolt and we take out another one of our rival's Pokemon. Ninetales is next, and now Shade's got a chance to shine. Tail Whip is an interesting move for Ninetales, and we make the predictable choice in using Surf. Not a one-shot, but it's putting in the work. Ninetales attacks with a quick attack, and even with that being a critical hit, it barely hurts us. Also, since it was a critical hit, it ignores stat changes, so that Tail Whip really did waste a turn for our rival. Anyway, another Surf, and we're officially down to one more Pokemon for our rival's team. Jolteon. I sent out Nidoking, he still doesn't have a nickname after all this time, and I am proud of how far this guy's come. We caught him at level 2, and look at him now, face to face with our rival's ace in the final battle of the game. Jolteon can't use any of his electric moves thanks to our ground typing, but its alternative Pin Missile is a bug type move, so it is technically super effective against Nidoking. That being said, it's not doing much despite hitting 3 times and stating the fact that it is super effective each time it hits. Our Earthquake, on the other hand, is a one-shot and appropriately tells you that it's a super effective move just one time. So we're not being annoyingly redundant. But that's not important because just now, we have officially beaten the game and we are once again officially Pokemon champions. This doesn't feel as rewarding as it does in my other videos because we didn't have to struggle and grind as much as we have in my previous solo challenges. But still here, this moment of beating the game definitely feels more nostalgic. It takes me back to the first time I beat this game years ago, the first time I earned the title of Pokemon Master. Little kid me viewed it as such an accomplishment. I mean, back then, this kind of win definitely gave you some cool points on the playground because almost everyone liked Pokemon, and not everyone had gone that far in the game yet. It was cool to show off your team that you used to be the Elite Four, and your rival, even if it wasn't much variation between everyone else's teams. It's crazy that back then we thought this generation was huge with its 151 Pokemon, the large map, the battle mechanics that made the gameplay feel so complicated. Oh, the times have changed. We now have over 1,000 Pokemon, 9 regions, and so many added mechanics like personalities, abilities, IVs, EVs, DVs, breeding, shinies, Mega Evolution, Z-moves, terrestrializing. It's a lot that's been added over time to add depth and dimension to these games, for better or for worse. And I remember thinking this game was really well put together, but after all these years I now know that these Generation 1 games are basically a lump of code smaller than the thumbnail of this video, held together by shoestring, tape, and a lot of prayers from Game Freak that it doesn't all fall apart upon startup. The younger me didn't know all that.
And ignorance was bliss as I enjoyed playing this game and having that 8-bit Pikachu follow me everywhere I went.
I never really gave it much thought on how graphics and audio would evolve over time for handheld games. I was just having the time of my life trying to catch them all and beat everyone that stood in my way of trying to be the very best, like no one ever was. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've never fully completed a Pokedex in any of these games, but I have done the one thing we have left to do before we sign off on this playthrough. Shh, it's okay, it's not time for tears. No, it's actually time to face Mewtwo. So, yeah, we're wandering through this cave in the post-game, and of course, I still don't remember my way around here. We are wandering. Anyway, we eventually make it to Mewtwo. Now we're going to try to accomplish 2 things here. First, I want to beat Mewtwo with our team, so we save before the battle and give it a go. Now I know how stupid it looks to put Nidoking at the front of the party right before we fight the strongest Psychic type in the game, but Mewtwo doesn't have the best AI. I mean, its opening move is Swift, so you see, what I'm trying to do here is poison Mewtwo. The first Poison Sting barely does any damage, and it doesn't poison, but we're not sweating it. We're playing the long game here. The critical hit Swift sucks, so does the fact that our second Poison Sting fails to poison again, and then Mewtwo uses Recover soon after. We are making so much progress, you guys. I mean, crap, Mewtwo just used Barrier. We really need to get this guy poisoned. Come on. Oh, never mind. There's the Sidekick we knew was coming eventually. And, of course, it was a critical hit. Oh well, maybe we can get Paralysis Land thanks to 25? Did you see how much damage Thunder did there? Yikes. Actually, the real big yikes was that critical hit Swift that just one-shot 25. Okay, let's see what Char can do. Another barrier from Mewtwo, and we finally get it into yellow health, which is of course negated by Recover. Still sticking with Flamethrower, and it finally pays off by landing a burn. Now Mewtwo's physical attack is lowered, and it will take a little damage each turn. See how weak its Swift was after that? I did a couple of turns using a very weak fly.
Look, I forgot about all the barriers Mewtwo set up earlier, okay?
But it got me thinking. So I started using Slash since it can crit often, and a crit does bypass stat changes. Case in point, Mewtwo's next Swift dealt a lot of damage because, well, it was a crit. But don't worry, we got a crit from our first Slash too. Mewtwo uses Recover again, but it's not back to full health, and because it's burned, it loses a little more soon after. Another critical hit Slash, and another Recover from Mewtwo, but eventually Char goes down to a Psychic. I decided to send out Mew Species out next.
We're basically reliving the first Pokemon movie right now.
Mewtwo is still spamming Recover, and I have Mew Species attack with Psychic. Yes, Mewtwo resists it, but all of our other moves are physical and unlikely to crit to bypass the barriers. Our first Psychic does land as a critical hit, and it causes a special drop. And that's a great start, but we need a few more of those, please. We take a weak Swift, land a weak Psychic, Mewtwo wastes a turn with another barrier that does nothing, takes some burn damage, and then we repeat those last few turns for a bit. We eventually get another special drop on Mewtwo, and from there we finally get the opportunity to deal the finishing blow with one last Psychic. Clearly the original is better than the successor. Okay, task completed. Now let's catch it. Yeah, I used the Master Ball. Anticlimactic? Yeah, probably, but that previous battle was long, and when else am I going to use this thing? But that's it. We have basically beaten Pokemon Yellow. I hope you enjoyed this challenge and were able to feel like your younger self to some degree as you watched this series. Sorry I fell behind schedule with this series, but you know, sometimes things don't go the way you plan for them to go. I probably should have saved that retrospective part of the commentary I said earlier for this portion of the video, but it felt like it fit really well after we beat our rival in the Elite Four. Anyway, outside of finishing this project, I'm also in the middle of a Fire Red challenge where we're trying to beat the game with just a Doduo. And yes, I'm aware that the 25th anniversary of the Generation 2 games is coming up, and I do have something planned for that, but it's going to be different than what we just did with this playthrough. I'm considering how little I'm willing to divulge about this project. I guess I'm still keeping it basically under wraps. Anyway, there's a lot I'm working on at the moment, and this isn't even my actual job. If you enjoyed this episode or this series, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment on this video. Let me know what challenge runs you'd like to see next, or share your favorite moments from this run. Got feedback or suggestions? I'd love to hear it. Your input helps me keep improving and creating better content for you all. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, Geronimo.